Hello and welcome back to my channel. This video today is going to be answering y'all's questions about eating disorders specifically. So if you aren't following me on Instagram, I'll put up my handle somewhere on the screen just to remind you to go on there, because I pretty frequently will ask questions and ask for feedback and video ideas, and this video is a product of one of those. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. If you haven't watched my testimony video, that is a great background part one to this video, because I talk about my eating disorder history in it, how God saved me from anorexia, kind of where I'm at now, and that is the video that initially sparked these questions. So let me just pull up the question stickers. I initially put one of these up like 6 months ago and never made the video for it, so sorry. And then I re-put up the question sticker like this week. So old questions and new questions will be answered. Okay, let's see, I'm just gonna pick a few of these. How eating disorders start. I didn't realize how disordered my eating was for a while. That is a great question. Oh, before I start, disclaimer, I am not a medical professional. I am a nurse, however, I am not a provider. I am not an eating disorder specialist. I am not a therapist. Please take everything I say with a grain of salt. I will not be giving medical advice in this video. Go get the help you need. You deserve it. Okay, how eating disorders start. Everything I say, I'm gonna preface to my knowledge and my understanding, based on my experience, all the things. Cool. Don't wanna get sued. Okay. Genetics, nature and nurture. There definitely is a genetic connection in terms of predisposition to eating disorders. Eating disorders definitely run in my family personally. I also grew up in a disordered environment, not as disordered as some other people's, but I definitely was exposed to disordered behaviors growing up at meal times, and just thoughts and behaviors of family members. That's just one thing that contributed to it for me personally. I think also the media, culture, magazines that I don't know about y'all, but like 17 magazine was a huge influence on me in middle school, Tiger Beat, all of those things. The modeling industry, just all the images and media we're flooded with constantly, showing us what an ideal body is, can really do harm to young people. So I would say it starts really young. It often starts earlier than we ever realize. I remember in therapy reflecting back on when my own disordered thoughts and behaviors started. We were like, dang, I had some disordered stuff way earlier than my actual eating disorder started. So I developed anorexia when I was like 14, 15, and we can trace back some disordered stuff to when I was like 11. Okay, next question. When does disordered eating become something to address? So I kind of use the terms eating disorder and disordered eating sort of interchangeably, but how I understand this concept is I see eating on a spectrum. So if a full-fledged eating disorder is all the way over here in the extreme, and normal eating is all the way on the other extreme, like really intuitive, thoughtful eating, listening to your body, really mindful, no diet or calorie counting or anything like that, messing with your natural cues. That's over here, full diagnosed eating disorder over here. Everything in between to me is disordered eating. And that's any deviation from fueling your body intuitively that is seriously impairing your day-to-day life, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. And so I think everyone can kind of define disordered eating dependent on what their normal is. I think we live in a highly disordered society when it comes to food and bodies and exercise. And I don't know that anyone really has a fully normal, intuitive relationship with food. I do think we're all born intuitive eaters, but even I can nerd out about breastfeeding right now if you want me to, but there can be interruptions to our natural feeding patterns at birth that can impact our nutrition later on, can impact our hunger cues. And so our world is broken and messed up, and none of us are gonna have a perfect, healthy relationship with food. But I do think there's a way to get really, really close to that beautiful, normal intuitive eating state. So that's my concept map to explain that. I think disordered eating becomes something to address whenever you want it to be addressed, whenever it is impacting your life and negatively changing your quality of life. I think that is a totally valid time to get help, to see a therapist, a dietitian, a mentor, a doctor, whatever you need to do to get help. You don't have to wait until you have a diagnosable eating disorder. You don't have to wait until you lose a certain number of pounds, until you look a certain way, until you meet certain criteria. You deserve to get help whenever your eating and exercise and thoughts about yourself and your body are impacting your life negatively. Let's see some of the newer questions. What are tips for reaching out for help if you've been told you're not underweight? So this is a huge issue in my opinion. And someone else asked about eating disorders in individuals who are in larger bodies. So I have a lot of fundamental issues with the BMI and with the current DSM criteria for diagnosing eating disorders. If you followed my Instagram before I did more like lifestyle faith stuff, you'll know I nerded out hardcore on the science of weight, eating disorders, mental health stuff. Like that was the main topic of my page for a while, the pink stethoscope days. So I really care about this a lot. Essentially, majority of individuals with eating disorders, including anorexia, are actually in normal or overweight BMI categories. So your typical, image of someone who has anorexia being this thin, emaciated person, well, yes, that happens, and those are the images that we see most frequently in the media and in courses about eating disorders, because it's the most jarring and extreme examples. That's not the most common manifestation of anorexia. And I want you to know that, especially if you are in a normal or a large body. I use quotes because it's very subjective. Your struggle with anorexia or whatever type of eating disorder or disordered eating is valid, and you deserve to get help. What else? So essentially, if you are not underweight, doesn't mean that you don't have an eating disorder. You do not have to be clinically underweight to have an eating disorder. Please hear that loud and clear. Not being diagnosed with an eating disorder does not mean that your issues and what you're struggling with is not valid. It just means it doesn't meet this man-made clinical criteria for an eating disorder, and that you probably won't get insurance coverage for your treatment, which sucks. It is super unfair, and we could talk about that for a long time. But just because you don't meet certain criteria, weight-wise, diagnostic criteria-wise, it doesn't matter. You need to get help, okay? So tips for reaching out when you are, in that severe state. Finding a trusted person who, has experienced an eating disorder before, has gone to treatment, who has resources and connections, someone that you really trust, whether that's a mentor figure, a professor, a family member, a friend, someone that you really look up to and feel that you can confide in. I would talk to them. There are definitely lots of resources, especially on the NEDA website. I'll link some in the description of this video of just treatment resources, compiled lists of providers and eating disorder specialists who can really help you. There's some wonderful therapists and dietitians and medical providers out there. And so I would just really Google and reach out to people, and just don't be afraid to get help. I promise you, you will not regret it. Okay, a little bit more like practical, hands-on kind of questions. What do you eat when you know you're hungry and need to eat, but the idea of food makes you feel nauseous? Girl, I feel you, because when I was weight restoring, which is a common component of treatment from, recovery from anorexia and other eating disorders, depending on how the disorder messed with your weight and metabolism and whatnot, I had to eat a lot of food, a lot, to get my body back online, is what we say. And I was not hungry for it for a long time because my metabolism was so slow, and because I'd starved myself for so long. Dense foods that are very energy dense instead of nutrient dense. So something that's nutrient dense but not energy dense is something like vegetables or fruit, versus foods that are more energy dense are going to be like peanut butter, breads, carbs, sweets, things that your eating disorder is probably telling you don't eat that. It is so good and such a good time to challenge yourself and eat those, off limits foods. Things that helped me specifically was like bread and peanut butter, trying to make really dense like smoothies and milkshakes, ice cream with peanut butter. I swear peanut butter like low-key helped me in my recovery so much from anorexia. I'm like, peanut butter saved me. Peanut butter and Jesus, that could be my memoir title. Yeah, so I would work with a dietitian on some really good brainstorming for snacks and meals when you feel nauseous. In terms of nausea specifically, I find like ginger ale or Sprite and like crackers and things like that to be really helpful, just like easily digestible carbohydrates. What else? Stay away from the like, you know, heavy proteins and fats when you're feeling actively nauseous. What else? I'm sorry if I talk really fast. I know I talk fast. It's just, I've always been like that. Let's see. How to treat your body right without going overboard, i.e. daily exercise, 3 meals a day, etc. I'll combine this with one of our other questions about intuitive eating, which I have mentioned a little bit. I've like name dropped it in this video. I am a huge fan of intuitive eating. That is currently how I eat and try to exercise intuitively. We're still working on the relationship with exercise, which will be coming up in another video. Yeah, I feel like that's a really common question. Like, how do you take care of yourself without going overboard and being obsessive? Because I feel like everywhere we turn, the options for like plans and guidelines and like people getting together to like be healthy can turn very obsessive very quickly. I don't have a like clear answer for that because I'm like very actively working on this. For me, what's been helpful is like whatever your healthy lifestyle thing is, don't have it be based around numbers. Don't have it be based on weight, calories, reps, number of times you exercise, distance, whatever it is. For me, my big like stronghold in my eating disorder was calories. I calorie counted obsessively for probably 7 years? Yeah, 7 years. And it was around my 22nd birthday when I literally woke up one day, I kid you not, and was like, I didn't count my calories today. This is the first day since I was like 14 that I did not count my calories. That was a miracle. It was amazing. Sorry guys, my camera shut off. I was talking too long. What were we saying? Intuitive eating? Oh yeah, long story short, I just try to eat in a really balanced way. I genuinely crave all the foods. I have a huge sweet tooth, but I also love fruits and vegetables, and not vegetables that much. But I really find myself craving a pretty balanced diet, and I think that's very much a product of letting myself eat anything and everything in recovery, to where I am not in a spot where I'm craving cookies all day because I don't have any restrictions around desserts. Like I can keep desserts in my house and eat it however many times a day or however often I want and not have like rules around it or have guilt. And so I'm not like sitting here thinking, oh my gosh, I want to eat 5 cookies because I haven't let myself eat a cookie in a week. So it's like I eat a cookie every day or like insert whatever treat it is. So I'm not like thinking about it. So that's been huge. It's just like food freedom, allow for all the foods. Paying attention to like my energy levels. Like I was gonna work out today and I got home from like seeing a friend and running errands and I was like, I'm really hungry for dinner. And for me to like eat dinner, film a video, go to bed before work, I'm not gonna have time to work out. And so we're just not gonna work out today, and that's fine. And so just being flexible with exercise, I think is really healthy. And just kind of holding that loosely, like I really like weightlifting now and I love building muscle and it's really fun and empowering for me, but if that's gonna prevent me from like sleeping well and getting like appropriate meals and snacks in, then like we're gonna scratch it for a little bit. For me, I look at my period, like my menstrual cycle, kind of like another vital sign, which we can do a whole series of videos about women's health, which I'm sure we'll do later because your girl's going back to school. I'm so excited about it. My period, I lost it for 5 years in my eating disorder, and so I pay really close attention to changes in my menstrual cycle. Specifically the length of my cycle, the length of my period itself, changes in my mood, weight, appetite, all of those types of things that might be impacting my cycle, because my cycle is actually very sensitive to those factors. And so I try to just keep in mind kind of what's been changing lately, and if my cycle is getting longer or shorter, you know, outside of normal parameters. I do like to kind of be like, okay, am I exercising too much? Am I not eating enough? Have I lost weight? Things like that. So just knowing your body really well, working with a good medical team, eating in a way that's balanced and feels good to you, letting yourself eat all the foods, finding exercise that feels good. Really simple, like, I don't know, get some movement in, eat all the foods. That's my like bare bones advice. I definitely will link lots of resources. The book Intuitive Eating is wonderful, looking at more like, not weight neutral, but like weight inclusive. I don't think weight is really like a neutral topic, but weight inclusive resources, and just like surrounding yourself with people who are like-minded and body positive and just encouraging, and eat all the foods and enjoy fun movement and aren't sitting there being like, oh, how many calories is in this? Or like, I need to go lose this many pounds, or like, let's go do this whatever mile run. Like, being around people who are just like enjoy activity and enjoy like going to get like the burger and fries, but also like wanting to get the avocado toast or like whatever. It's just balanced and normal and healthy and fun is like my philosophy for health right now. So I hope that's helpful. If you have other questions, feel free to comment them, message me, whatever, in the comment section for this video. Maybe you can put your top tip for living in a healthy, balanced way that's not obsessive. Let's help each other out. And as always, please like, comment, and subscribe. Helps me a lot.